All right, am I live? And it looks like I also got the stream done correctly. Just give me 1 second, and then we will begin this massive adventure where I kind of mess up my throat. So I'm just gonna pull this up on my phone also, so that way I can respond to chat better because I'm not gonna have that tab open. But yeah, here we go. Hello everybody. It's been a while since I've really done anything on this channel at all. That's because all its crazy summer classes, but we're finally back. And let me just turn on the music so I can do this with some relaxing. You probably can't hear it because Macs don't work with the audio, but what can you do? All right, that's loud. Adjusting the audio. And here we go. So it's been a while since I've done this. Like basically, I think it's been very almost half a year since I've actually streamed, but here we are. We're finally back, and it's a tier list. Wait, it's been over a year and a half since I streamed my last tier list, but now we are finally back, and we're doing a traditional tier list. No matchup chart, no hype tier list, just the classics. So sit back and enjoy me talking for the next probably hour and a half, you know? All right, but anyways, so we have 5 tiers here, and basically I kind of wanted to give a label for each tier because it helps me with my reasoning of why I put a character in a tier instead of just saying, "Oh, character bad, bottom," or character amazing, top tier. I want to be very specific. I don't want to be like those people who constantly say, "Hey, this character's bad, therefore they're in a tier." I want to give them a specific reasoning, and really because I actually care about the quality of my streams somewhat. But yeah, starting off, we're gonna go from the bottom up, and even though it's been a very long time since I've last streamed, the worst character in the game is still Ganondorf. I know he got buffed in 11.0, I believe, but the buffs don't help him because tech checking, I think it's called, wasn't his main issue in his edge guarding. It was the fact that he's super slow, and basically every flaw of the character is still present. He's still slow with an abysmal neutral, abysmal disadvantage. His damage output from each of his hits don't matter because he's only going to be landing 1 or 2 hits per stock probably if you're playing the matchup correctly, which is play scared, but then as soon as you land a hit on him, you go ham. And there's characters who do less damage per hit, like Sheik, for example, or Pikachu, but they combo the hits into it, and eventually they rack up more damage than Ganon. His weight doesn't matter. He doesn't live for a while because his blast zones are so close to the stage because his recovery is terrible. Realistically, Ganondorf isn't good, and he has no winning matchups at all. Maybe one winning matchup, and that's also a bottom tier character. That says it all, in my opinion. The fact that he doesn't win any matchups besides for a single bottom tier, and even that's a maybe, that just shows how futile it is to play this character. So King Dedede got buffed a little, so he's not the second worst character in the game. And by default, that means Dr. Mario's the second worst. The character is pretty bad in my opinion. Uh, Bad recovery, slow. Pill combos don't really work because the pill's faster than Dr. Mario. It's kind of you play defensive and he just doesn't get in. Even with Cape, he can't zone you out or stop zoning. And then he has the other flaws of Mario, which is he gets walled out by characters with disjoints. He might beat Ganondorf, but that's a maybe. And maybe a couple of other bottom tiers, maybe a couple of low tiers, but low tiers aren't common either. You don't have to worry about running into a low tier most of the time, so realistically, he's has to be down here. Third worst, this character. One of the people on my stream is probably watching me put their character in bottom tier, and that's Jigglypuff. The character has good air mobility, don't get me wrong. But the problem is they have zero range. They have no range whatsoever. Super light. So if they miss a very hard to hit move that kills, their saving grace rest, they die almost instantly. And they can't do well against sword characters. And really characters that can kill, like, think that they have one definitive winning matchup, and that's Ganondorf. And who else? Like, the character is super bad. And because they're not a fast follow either, so they're floaty, so they vertically, they go up and they just don't come back. Also, if you break the character's shield, they just die instantly. Like, Puff is really bad. I don't know how people defend this character, because I've seen some people say the character is secretly a mid-tier, but no. 4-Force character. I've been kind of a defender of this character, of not putting him at the bottom, but as time goes on, I can kind of see it. It's Little Mac. You know the flaws of Little Mac. It's tradition to say he has good air game, but his air game is terrible. Did I say his air game is good? No, his ground game. His ground game is decent, but his air game is bad. He can't land. He gets hit off stage and he just doesn't come back because his recovery's so bad. Like, he's fast, and I know Jigglypuff is fast in the air and can do edge guards, but Lil Mac has the super armor stuff, which can kind of help. Like, I think Ganondorf is the definitive worst, but it really doesn't matter to order too much until top tier. It's just fun to order them, but if you want to place Mac here, or here, like, really, I feel like Puff and Mac are kind of interchangeable, because, like, one of them has an amazing air game, but terrible ground game. One of them has an amazing ground game, but a terrible air game. So, it really comes down to your preference, I guess. Like, all these characters are just... the order doesn't matter, because they're all just unviable. Like, who cares who's the worst? Well, it's fun to do. 5th worst. Another character that I've kind of always put higher on my tier list, higher than most people, and that's K. Rool. So I might be biased because the link has, like, maybe a +3 on K. Rool, and I just know to match it, but K. Rool is really bad. His disadvantage is terrible. He froze. The neutral is too one-dimensional. He gets comboed super hard. He's edge guardable. His advantage state is pretty good, which is why I feel like there's a small gap between Mac and K. Rool. Enough to mention, but not enough to put him into his own tier, because there's still a couple of other characters I'd put into the unviable tier. But the disadvantage in neutral is just meh. You hit K. Rool once and combo. You could go into the matchup not knowing what you're doing, and that's when it becomes hard, because with a new character, it can be hard to fight K. Rool, but with better characters, or characters you're more experienced with, you're just going to beat K. Rool instantly. And, like, his zoning isn't good. And then you just go in, grab him. Super armor doesn't really change anything. It really doesn't change anything. So, you know. The 6th worst, Incineroar. Incineroar's not bottom 5. He's gone up from bottom 2 to bottom 6. What a surprise. So he's the slowest character in the game. I mean, he can get camped out. But everything else about him is amazing. He has good ground. He has good tools, like aerials and ground tools. He has a command grab that does kills at 80 and does 25. Revenge is insane. The recovery is still not great. It's not good. And I wouldn't say about it's okay. But it's usable, unlike some of the other characters down here. But the problem is that he's slow, and he can't use the tools. Like, he has all these great tools, but if you just play outside of his range, and then just whiff punish him, and when he misses a move, you hit him once and you kill him. Revenge doesn't really help, because you can just camp him out, in my opinion. Like, he's very scary to fight, but what can you do, I guess. 7th worst. I actually made a tier list beforehand, but I need my phone to look at the stream, so It's between King Dedede and Piranha Plant. I'm gonna go with Piranha Plant. And King Dedede could also fit, but, you know, whatever. So, Plant has one game plan. If he didn't have Patui, he'd be the worst in the game by a complete landslide. Patui saves this character, and it's still not enough to get him out of the unviable tier. The thing is that, yes, he has Patui, and he can do all this amazing ledge trapping, and he has a Poison Cloud. It doesn't mean anything when, like K-Rool, he's a character that you have to know your character first. Like, against a new character, he can be hard to fight, but realistically, every character can deal with Patui one way or another. Like, maybe Yoshi can struggle because Yoshi's a heavily aerial-based character, but also Yoshi can just kind of just walk up to him and just grab him and hit him once. He also has jump armor. Yeah, the one game plan isn't enough, in my opinion. It's really bad. And I know some Yoshi players are saying, hey, Plant beats Yoshi, but that's a maybe. Like, I definitely think he's towards the upper end of bottom tier. He could be better. He could be in the low tier. Like, I'm gonna definitely order this and maybe fix it around. But, you hate King Dedede? Same. He's annoying. So, let's take King Dedede and put him on the tier list. Again, I'm gonna order this around, probably by the end. But King Dedede is, again, he has a complete game plan. He has a way to shoot back projectiles, which can help with camping. He has Gordo, and that Gordo buff actually helped a lot, where he can not only stick it to a ledge better, but he can hit it back quicker. That helps a lot, because before the buff, I would definitely put him here. Now he's, like, towards the top, which doesn't matter, but, I mean, progress is progress, I guess. What can you do? He has a better neutral than all these characters and a solid game plan, but he has a heavy fall where he's slow. He gets hit once and he dies. Super, I feel like his recovery isn't the most exploitable, but it's still not great. It's still not great, to be honest. He's very okay. He's very okay. He might win against some mid tiers or low tiers, but he's not a good character. So that's it for the bottom tiers. I consider these characters to be the worst in the game and all unviable to use. They lose too many matchups, and the matchups they do potentially win aren't relevant enough to put them higher, and all of their flaws just outweigh them. Little to no strengths, you know. So now that we're into low tier, so low tier are the characters who I think have some uses. They're obscure counter picks, like mediocre counter picks, where you're generally going to use them for like 1 or 2 matchups maybe, if you really feel like it. However, there's still better options out there, and there's still, you really only play them if your playstyle fits them for a secondary. Like, I do believe there is a little bit of a jump from this tier to this tier, but these characters are still bad. Like, I know a lot of people say in Ultimate, oh, everybody's viable. No. Like, there's 8 unviable characters, and then there's a bunch of characters who, in my opinion, struggle too much, but have some uses. So this is where ordering becomes hard, because I kind of had these set out in my head, but now we head into this tier, and, I think I'm going to start out with, let's start out with Isabelle. I'll reorder it eventually, but Isabelle is probably the most mediocre, average character in the game, or below average. They almost seem like they have nothing. Like, they seem like they should be the worst. But they have decent zoning, some decent ledge trapping, and that's pretty good. Stubby moves, struggles to kill, but they have an anti-zoning. They have pocket. And you know what's funny? Like, if they didn't have a relevant matchup, I put them in bottom tier. But they have a relevant matchup in Diddy Kong, who is a very common character now. So, a very rising character. And Isabelle's zoning, while it's not great, I've seen Isabel sometimes just, because the slingshot combos a lot better than villagers, rarely just combos and then takes the player off stage and just kills them instantly into the blast zone, which is kind of funny. So Isabel definitely has more use than all of these characters, but still not great because they're very meh. They're the most meh character in the game. And that's like the best way to describe it. I don't know how else to describe it because they're just so weird and underwhelming, to be honest. So now we finish out bottom 10 with Mii Swordfighter. The character has an okay game plan. They have a sword though, which helps. It helps in some cases. They have the tornado combos, but realistically, they haven't learned any new things in a year. Like, it's been the same game plan for over a year now. But the ability to kill at 80 with a projectile like that definitely puts them into low tier. Because they can really screw with some ground-centered fighters. Even they might do decent against Luigi. They might do decent against other low tiers. Like, realistically, relevant matchups don't matter too much in low tier. Like, they kind of do. But when you're trying to determine what character is lower on viable, you're really just scrapping the surface of any matchup. And, yeah. Mii Swordfighter is okay. But he's slow. Just super slow. And so and the combos are very predictable. It's just not great, in my opinion. So, next is actually going to be a character who's going up a little. Who's escaped from bottom 5 and is now the 11th force in the game, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm looking at that right. That's Lucario. So listen, Lucario is still pretty bad. With the fact that he doesn't get to play the game until he's at his kill percent, and considering how insane characters are at killing in this game, yeah. But the thing is, players mess up, even at top level. And there's several characters who also don't kill consistently that, like, kind of struggle if you don't hit a kill confirm. So suddenly Lucario can finally be a menacing character and push out stocks. When he has Aura, he is definitely here. But 0% Lucario is also here. Like, he doesn't have the best hitboxes, but he has the command grab. He has Aura pressure and a recovery that goes far. It's just that he doesn't get to really play the game because his one game plan where he becomes stronger with the amount of percent he takes and characters can kill him before he really gets strong, that hurts. That really hurts. So, who's next? Is it Meta Knight? It's Meta Knight. If you get laddered, Meta Knight's an amazing character. I saw something on Twitter where someone said, it's amazing that they designed a character that's bottom 5 and also high tier at the same time. And I agree. Meta Knight is so strange because I could be biased because I got sauced by 2 in online tournaments. And the fact that he can edge guard super well with multiple jumps, has cape, and the ladder combos aren't true, but they could also be good to just take you off the stage sometime, but also his up B doesn't work. He's very okay. Like, when he gets to play the game and he can do his thing, like, he's a good counter pick character, but against every other character in the cast who don't get ladder comboed, yeah. And his neutral is so bad. His neutral is so bad. It's amazing how bad it is because it's constantly just throwing dash attacks or trying to down throw you, but if you just camp him out, you're fine. So I think next is about where, Villager goes. The better version of Isabel has the ability to control the stage better than Isabel despite not having Slingshot that can combo and kill instantly. He has all these decent tools, but he's still slow. He's still missing something. He's still slow, and when he doesn't get to play his game, he crumbles under pressure. But he has Tree. He has Lloyd Rocket. He has the edge guarding. So he's way better because he can camp behind Tree, kill with Axe if he has it. Like, all these, some good stuff, but, what can you do? Like, it's so hard to explain Villager and Isabelle because they're just characters that are missing something. Just missing one thing that's keeping them from being good. I think the next character is probably going to be the Belmonts. So listen, the Belmonts have a horrible disadvantage, but they can zone you out sometimes. And T3 Dom is pulling off some amazing creative kill combos with this character. And now that they struggle to kill less, they've gotten a little bit better. Ledge trapping's pretty decent, and they can mess with recoveries. They have long range. That forward tilt especially, that's a good keep out move. But characters who can get around it just obliterate this character. And he gets comboed. He doesn't land. His recovery especially is really, really bad. Like, he just isn't that good because he gets comboed hard, you know? It's... I wish this character was cool, but they're still bad because they're very annoying. And that annoyance can strike up, and they might beat slower zoner characters like Peach or Luigi, but being that slow and heavy just means you're going to get hit by a faster character and get comboed to death. And the matchup charts where people say, oh, Roy loses, no, that's not true. Roy just rushes in and kills him instantly. So a character that has kind of gone down, in my opinion, like a lot, is Robin. I think Robin is very mediocre. This character is so The character is because, you know, they try to zone you out. They don't, first off, they don't do good under pressure. That's the big issue here. They don't do good under pressure, and their zoning isn't enough to keep you out. Because, yeah, he can hit you with arc fires or keep you out with thunders, but as soon as you get in, his disadvantage is trash. He doesn't land. He gets comboed. Like, his landing options are all bad. Like, and he has no ground moves. All of his ground moves are terrible. They, even with the Levin sword, and his arrows are okay, but they can be spaced out. Like you could space him. He's just not good. And then he runs out of resources, so then he could lose the tools that are keeping him from getting destroyed. And he could lose his recovery book. Like, he's very, very. Next up is Kirby. I know I said in my, tier matchup chart a while back that, Kirby was kind of a mid-tier, and because that was only because I had, 4 tiers, and these were just the low tiers, but Kirby can do good. He has a great set of ground moves. Don't get me wrong. Combo game's pretty good. Recovery's decent. But he's light, and he struggles to get in. Less so than Jigglypuff. Well, more than Jigglypuff, but Kirby's heavier. His combos are also more consistent than Jigglypuff. He has Stone, which can break shields sometimes. He can has Inhale, which can completely change the match around. And he's decent, but the fact that he's an aerial-based character and with a slow airspeed means he's just going to get zoned out no matter what you try to do. And he just, it doesn't work because, yeah, you could be trying to get all these combos, but then the player could just outspace you, just jump back, you whiff, and you hit his move. So, unfortunately, it just doesn't work. So, next up, in my opinion, is a bit of a tie. I don't know how to place these characters. One can be fairly seen as better than the other or not. And that is, I'll talk about, it's between Donkey Kong and Ridley. Who is worse? This is hard because I think Ridley's worse. I'm sad because I've been playing Ridley a lot more, and he has tools, but none of his tools function in a kit. Like, he has a giant nair, which is good, but spamming nair gets repetitive after a while, and if your player picks up on that, they're going to start punishing you for it. They have a command grab, which can drag you off the cage, but that can be mashed out of. They have The fireballs, which can edge guard and camp with, but many characters have a way to get through that. So, like, they're a heavy character, but also not, because they are the size of a super heavy, but they don't have the weight to back it up, so they get comboed and die super early. And also, they don't have a consistent way to kill, because command grab is very reactionary, and if you're playing outside Ridley's range and with punching him, you should be fine and not be getting hit by it. And down smash, all the smash attacks are good, but if those are your only options to kill, the player's going to pick up on that, and they're going to just avoid those moves and then punish you for using them. Like, a character is very, They can edge guard some characters, don't get me wrong, but definitely not good enough, in my opinion. The other character who is tied is Donkey Kong. So listen, Donkey Kong has an amazing grab game. Don't get me wrong. He grabs you at many percents. The monkey grabs you at many percents, throws you, and ding-dongs you. And that's cool. Backer's really good. His neutral is actually surprisingly well because he's decently fast. But the disadvantage to this character is so bad. Like all the other characters, heavies, he struggles to land. He gets comboed super hard, and the recovery is super, super, super exploitable. Like, because most characters can spike it, because it's good, like, for the horizontal hitboxes, but vertical hitboxes, very exploitable. And, like, do you notice that, like, in many training room combos, it's Donkey Kong used, because he's huge, and he gets comboed super hard, and it just doesn't work. Again, the grab game's really good, and the neutral's decent, and he has all the spikes, but honestly, it isn't enough to cover his flaws. Next is going to be Tink, Toon Link, the Fall of Toon Link. This character, I thought they were better because I used to main them, but realistically, they are almost unusable. The zoning's decent, I guess. It's very okay, but the sword hitbox isn't big. He doesn't really have the tools to get down, because downer is very predictable. He's floaty, so that means he can't fast fall air dodge. So he really struggles to land. Mediocre, like his zoning game's pretty good. Bomb fair kills pretty early, but also if you're just predicting that, and against reflectors, you just beat him. And unfortunately, not having a way to get down is really bad. And of course, the recovery is exploitable. And if he isn't landing bomb fair, he isn't going to kill. So that's the unfortunate truth of Toon Link. Who's next? I think it's going to be probably Banjo-Kazooie. So I could be wrong about Banjo, because I went to a local and got sauced by one. Kind of, well, not really sauced, lamed out. So they could be decent. They could be worse than what I'm putting them. But I still don't think they're good. Like, Wonder Wing definitely carries this character, in my opinion. Like, they have a really good zoning game, but you kind of have to camp him out. And that was my problem against the Banjo, is that I was just running in, and then he would Wonder Wing me. Like, Wonder Wing is really good, because it could just burst through, but that's all he really has. And, like, his setups get repetitive. He's very one-dimensional, which means he's easy to play against. And his recoveries are great. Landing, you know the deal. I also feel like his aerials, like in neutral, aren't good. So, like, getting close quarter combat, besides for Wonder Wing, if you just bait them all out, or they're just using them for recovery, he actually struggles if you're just on top of him. Because he can't just egg. The egg and grenade setups are what puts him a bit higher than all these other characters, but genuinely not the best, in my opinion. Alright, so I feel like there's a couple of other characters in low tier, I believe. I think the first character, because I'm changing the order around as I'm going, is probably going to be Mii Gunner. I know I had a high opinion on this character because they really sauced Link, but as I think about the matchup more, it's getting better for Link, in my opinion, who's my main, if you're first coming to this. And I'm starting to see the flaws more of this character, because I thought they were really in the middle of mid-tier, and I thought they were super underrated, but they're not. Like, they The zoning's pretty good, but they have no close quarter combat. All they can do is run away, and they're so slow. Eventually, you're going to catch up. The recovery has no hitbox, and they struggle under pressure, because I know one of the options for this character is to get an up B that is a good out of shield option, but you don't want to sacrifice your recovery for an out of shield option, so suddenly the character doesn't do well in their close quarters. Because, yeah, they have Nair, but they really... Yeah, but that's kind of punishable. They're heavy, so they get comboed. You know the deal. They're just... eh. Like, the zoning's pretty good, but once you get in on it, it's free. And I feel like other projectile zoners can do good because they're so slow. And even if they have the reflector, I feel like all the other zoners above can at least have tools to, like, get through it. So, yeah. Next is going to be Zelda. I think Zelda... I know I have a friend who thinks Zelda is pretty good. And unfortunately... Well, they play Zelda. I'm not sure how good they think they are, but... Zelda's eh. You know? They're very eh. The zoning's annoying. Nehru's love when they break combos is infuriating. Don't get me wrong. They can kill super early, but also they struggle at getting off the ledge. The recoveries for Zelda is actually decent, but they struggle getting off the ledge. They don't land. The gameplay is very predictable, especially offline, because online they're a menace, but offline you can sort of predict the patterns and slowly work your way in. And then once you're on top of Zelda, just wait out Nehru's love, keep them in the air. Like, don't even try to combo them. Just do whatever you can to hit them up above you. They struggle to land, then they miss a landing opportunity, and then you keep them back up in the air again. Over and over, they struggle to get off the ledge, and they're light, so they die early. So after, it's very annoying to fight Zelda, don't get me wrong, but once you figure out how to fight Zelda and the patterns of the knight, you get in and you win. So I know it looks like I'm putting like every single character into low tier. I promise that's not what I'm doing. There's one more character that's going into low tier. And it's a character that is kind of dropped, in my opinion, and that's Wii Fit. The ledge camping is really good. Deep breathing combos, wild. Sun Salutation, pretty good. But the hitboxes are terrible. The hitboxes are so bad in neutral. Like, it's annoying to fight Wii Fit, but just take your time against them. And really, all they can do is ledge camp, because in scramble situations, they don't have good enough hitboxes to do good, I guess. And if you can reflect their projectiles or zone them harder, they struggle. Like, I know they have deep breathing combos, but it isn't enough. The recovery's okay, but isn't great. They don't land. Like, at the ledge, they're great, but not a good character. So it appears that we have around 25 characters in the low and unviable tier, which is kind of insane because that's a good chunk of the roster. But I promise, that's it for low tier. We're finally on to characters who mid tier is kind of the cutoff in my opinion, though there are some characters in mid tier who I might put into low tier later on. It really depends on if I change my mind. But let's begin. So, mid tiers are much better counter picks. They have a lot more uses against other characters, and they could be a very valuable secondary in my opinion. So, the first is going to be Bowser Jr. I think Bowser Jr. is okay. The neutral is pretty annoying to deal with sometimes, and when he hits you, he can deal 60, which is pretty good. He has a jab that kills at 100% at ledge. So at ledge, this character is a menace. Mecha Koopa still isn't great. Cannonball still isn't great. Like, I almost put him into low tier. But I do feel like having to consistently being able to hit 60% combos and constantly being hard to hit is kind of big, because a lot of top players say that this is an easy matchup for them. Okay, the matchup experience doesn't exist. I feel like people are looking at the flaws too much for Bowser Jr. because he definitely has some strengths. He still isn't great, but he's that. Like, if I were to put him into low tier, he'd definitely be at the top. And I feel like he snuffs out like all these characters almost all of them. So yeah, he's pretty decent. But of course, he still has the flaw of the cart mechanic, where he could get comboed pretty hard. And then when he's out of the cart, he's super light, so he just explodes. But he's decent, in my opinion. Better than these characters. You notice how I'm talking about him much more in a positive light. I think low and bottom tiers are the characters you don't really want to use at all. Unless you really feel that can fit you. But like at mid tier and above, the characters actually start to have uses. Next up is going to be a character that has kind of risen up, in my opinion. That's Ice Climbers. Against zoning characters, this character struggles. A lot. And maybe against sword characters too. But there are characters... You cannot ignore the fact that this character beats some high and top tiers. Like, I'm going to spoil it. They might beat Sheik, they might beat Mario, and they might beat Game & Watch. 2 of those characters are in top tier. And that is huge, because top tiers are very common. And if this character could beat 2 top tiers, and other characters like that who... Because here's the thing with Ice Climbers. Even if you're hitting one of them and you're doing a combo, the other Ice Climber can hit you and break your combo, and suddenly they get back into neutral. They have the desync combos, and desync neutral, that's very hard to deal with. And of course, the desync combos kill almost instantly. So, like, I think the Ice Climbers have gone up, in my opinion, because before I placed... Like, there was one point where I placed them, like, here, and now clearly at the bottom of mid tier, which is still not the best, but considering how low I thought they were, they're still pretty good. They have the decent combos. The recovery is still kind of whack to use, in my opinion, because Nana can mess up, and Nana messing up a lot of the time is what holds the character back. Because if they were a consistent puppeteer character like Rosalina that could do whatever you want with them, suddenly they get a lot better. There's someone who PGR'd the last time, and I feel like the Ice Climbers have a lot of potential, but potential isn't the best thing to rank characters off of. But consider the fact that they beat a couple of high tiers, and they have this incredibly hard to deal with neutral and incredibly incredible combos. I think they're pretty decent, to be honest. So, I think next up is going to be... what should I put next? There's like 3 characters in my mind that are in a specific area. I think it's probably going to be Mewtwo. Mewtwo's decent. He has some tools. It's pretty good. He has Shadow Ball, he has a Reflector, and most importantly, which is what puts him into mid-tier, this move kind of carries, is the fact that he has... What's the move called? The down B. The one where he stuns his opponent. It's hard to hit, don't get me wrong, but Mewtwo players with enough practice can start consistently hitting it, and if they're hitting it, Mewtwo can kill it ridiculous early percents. He's super fast, and he has all this momentum, but the problem is that tail. If you dash dance or you fly around, that tail is one big hitboxes, and you can hit him. And because he's a big character who's super light, you can kill him early. That's the unfortunate thing about Mewtwo, is because he has all this speed. He is a character that is one buff away from being top tier. And that's his tail mechanic. If they remove tail, or they keep it so that tail stays closer to him when he's moving around, suddenly Mewtwo becomes a lot better. But unfortunately, the tail sometimes messes up, so he has to be stuck in mid tier. But the zoning with Shadow Ball is pretty good. He has a Reflector, which could be useful in some scenarios. He has Nair. He has these destructive combos, but tail holds him back, and also his lightweight, coupled with the fact that he's huge, really just hurts him. He doesn't struggle to land as much as these other characters either. He's very decent, to be honest. But, Byleth. Byleth is the character that... Oh man, Byleth. This character is a spacing menace. With the correct spacing tools, they do okay. Notice how I said they do okay. So where are they placed in mid-tier? IDJ combos. The fact that the most common move that they use can link it to a 60% combo, that helps a lot. And the combo is really what carried his character into mid tier. Although they do beat a couple of high tiers, common high tiers. They go even with a lot of characters. They have some good spacing, crazy shield breaking potential. Like you know what you're getting into when you're talking about Byleth or fighting Byleth. A character who is slow but has a pretty good sword. But unlike Corrin, who has other better moves, I feel like they kind of struggle under pressure. Like Nair's okay, but isn't great. The Wuppy is pretty decent. Like they have all these decent tools, but they also have neutral B and down B, which aren't usable. Like online, they're definitely here, but offline they're still a decent mid tier, but they're slow, crumble under pressure. I think they get comboed hard, though I'm not quite sure. They struggle to land sometimes, but although it's better than these characters because they have Nair, which helps. But down air is risky to hit. If you mess any of their heavy hitting moves, you die. And if you don't land your tippers, you mess up. But the crazy shield break potential, IDJ, and the fact that they can wall some characters out is what puts them into mid tier in my opinion. Though they have some god awful matchups, some -2s. So who's next? Probably gonna be Hero. Hero's decent. Let's talk about them without the luck. So without the luck mechanic, they're here. Because they have mediocre, well, they have a sword. It's very mediocre. The spells are very okay. Like the fireball and the lightning. Recovery, kind of exploitable. Though it can be used as an out shield option sometimes. They have a sword, which is good, but realistically, he's slow and he crumbles under pressure. But then we get into his dice rolling mechanic, his down B. And this is what, in my opinion, really carries him into a mid tier. Is the fact that he could suddenly become a top tier with Accelerado. What's it called? Oomph. Is that the one that helps you get stronger? Like, they have some decent spells. Like, Whack It randomly kill. They have Hatchet Man. Like, they have this crazy potential with their down B. It's just that if you don't get good rules, you struggle. But if you get decent rules, you do decent. It's weird to rank these mid tiers because they're all in this weird camp where they're, in my opinion, better than the low tiers, but there's a little bit of a gap between them and the other mid tiers. Like, and it's also hard to talk about niche characters like this because there's little on them, but you know. All right, on to the next characters. If I'm remembering correctly, oh wait, this boy. Yeah, there's a couple of other mid tiers I want to talk about before I get to a really big opinion. But Duck Hunt is a really good zoner. Don't get me wrong. They have these creative kill combos, and their zoning is really good, better than some other zoners. The problem is that they don't do well under pressure at all. They don't kill consistently. Well, they kill consistently, just consistently late. But they also have the ability to just completely jam out other projectiles with gunmen. They have some annoying combos. Can's really good as a stage presence. And the recovery is exploitable, though it goes far. They're light, and they can get rushed down, but in slow matchups, in a slow meta, Duck Hunt can actually do really well, in my opinion. Like, a lot of people take craps on this character and put him in, like, bottom tier or low tier. But the fact that how do I say this? The fact that they do against slow characters, and there's some slow characters in the meta, and keep them out and put some decent fights against them, that's actually pretty good in my opinion. Definitely worth mentioning, though. It's not great because there's fast characters, or some slow characters that can mess with them and put them under pressure. But, yeah. Like, they just need a close quarters combat tool, or a consistent way of killing, and they'd be a lot better. Well, a way of killing earlier. Next up, in my opinion, is going to be Lucas. Lucas is pretty decent, in my opinion. They could be lower than this, but the zoning's pretty good. PK Freeze is stupid. That move It's kind of a niche move, but man, when you're at 80% and you get hit by this move and you fly off the stage and can't get back, that's annoying. You can what's it called, 2-frame with down smash. The kill potential with this character is crazy. The zoning is pretty good. They can deal with some energy-based characters or energy-based zoners and put them in turmoil, which is pretty good. What keeps Lucas up here is the fact that, well, first off, I just want to say that the Twitter combos you see aren't true. They're just mashing. But also, if you hit him up above you, he struggles to land. His down air isn't good, nair isn't good. He struggles to land, and you just rinse and repeat. Keep him above you over and over again until he's at kill percent. Every character has a way of killing vertically. Well, maybe not these characters down here, but like every character above him has the tools to kill him. But then again, if he's zoning you out and he hits you with one of his throws where he can kill you, that's pretty good. He has some decent tools, like he can contest in the air, but he's also floaty. And there's also a decent amount of startup with each of his moves. So he can get zoned out hard by non-projectile characters and sword characters. And that's what keeps him in mid-tier. And characters that can kind of stay underneath him as he's moving. And yeah. Alright. So there's a couple of characters who are kind of like these two where they're kind of in the same spot for me. I'm gonna go with Pit first. Might reorganize the tier list as we go along, but Pit's decent. They're a decent character of the game, which is what keeps them in mid tier, but also keeps them from going up any higher, but also going any lower, because they basically have all the tools you want in a character at a 6.5 out of 10. Want a tool to deal with zoners? Well, take Arrow and a Reflector. Want to kill consistently? Well, not consistently. Well, actually, yeah. You have some drag down setups. Do you want a random burst option that can go for projectiles that has super armor that can kill off the stage with dark pits or vertically? You have Pit Side B. You want consistent combos that do a decent amount of damage? You have that. You want a good recovery? You have that. Like, Pit has every tool you want in the game, but these tools are mediocre. They're the tools that you kind of accept, but you don't really want. Like, that's what Pit is. A 6.5 out of 10, which is still decent, above average, but meh. Not having anything really explosive about them is what hurts him. Like, it's very simple to talk about Pit because he's too good to be in. He has so many tools to keep him out of low and bottom tier, but he also doesn't have, those tools aren't good enough to get him into high tier or top tier. Like, I know he's kind of fallen down the tier list, from at least my tier list. Like, he's decent, don't get me wrong, but not having something amazing kind of hurts, though he has his uses, and you may notice that a lot of lane players keep Pit around as their co-main, and I'm considering doing that, so, yeah, Pit's decent. Alright, so, is this where we get to the really controversial opinion? I just want to make sure that, I really think this through because, I mean, he's kind of in that spot. I don't think Bowser is what he's cracked up to be. He's fallen hard down my tier list. Because, yeah, he can do a bunch of damage and hit you once and kill you or blah, 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 blah. He has a flame breath. But online, he is here because he hits you once and he kills you. But offline, you learn a matchup and you do fine. And that hurts a lot. You hit him once and you take him out. Struggles to get off the ledge. Recovery is edge guardable. Neutral is very predictable. Like, his advantage state is insane. But people's advantage states are getting stronger. And people are getting better at neutral, which is kind of just pushing Bowser down. I don't think he can go too much lower than this. Because he's definitely not around these characters. But I also am no longer seeing him around characters who are above him. Like, you know what you're doing against Bowser. He doesn't have landing options. Like, he's super predictable. He's heavy, so he gets comboed. And then you hit him once and you kill him. Like, that's it. That's why Bowser is not that good of a character anymore. Well, still a good character, but still usable. Because some people don't deal with pressure well at top level. And he just snowballs so hard. Get momentum. Change the game completely. But if a player is keeping consistent with their nerves, he struggles, which definitely hurts the character. By far the best super heavyweight, traditional heavyweight, because most of them are in bottom tier, a couple of them are in low tier, and one of them is stapled onto a good character. But yeah, I think next is gonna be Corrin. Corrin's decent. Corrin's decent. They're like Pip. They're decent, but they have a sword. Like they're slow and struggle with zoners, but they have a sword, and swords help because now you have. Not only does it it leads it to combos, which is pretty good. Like, and a spaced move can actually go into a combo, which is, again, as I mentioned, pretty good. I don't know what to say, but the juggling of this character is pretty decent. They have a way to kill really early with their neutral B, where they shoot a small ball at you, stun you, and then do a second part of the attack where they bite you, and that is really good. The landing options of this character aren't super great. They're kind of mashing there or forward air, but also that leads into combos, which is decent. The counter is still pretty strong. Recovery doesn't go the farthest, but it's decent. Back air is really good. Yes, I do think Corrin is better than Bowser. To my friend, I'm not sure if you're going to see this at one point or another, but Corrin no longer sucks because they used to be here. Then they got slightly buffed over Ultimate, so they were maybe around here. But now, since they got big buffs in 8.0, they are finally a mid tier. They beat out characters who struggle with hitboxes and spacing, which is pretty good. So, like, mid tiers are all the pretty good characters, but not the amazing, wow, I want this character. And next is the recently buffed Bayonetta, who made the thumbnail because they got the biggest changes. Because in my 9.0 tier list, I put Shulkin because he got nerfed hard. In 8.0, I didn't have a thumbnail because I was still new to YouTube. But Bayonetta, some of the flaws are gone. They now have a way to kill a lot earlier, which helps so much. The combos do so much damage, and now they do better against zoners, with which I'm doing taking a longer time to keep the other person slow. So Bayonetta got actually some huge buffs, but they still struggle. The neutral still isn't great. I still see some people pop out of combos, although it's way less consistent. And if they aren't landing a jab, they do struggle to kill. But hey, for a while I placed them I don't think they're here or even not here, but definitely in this territory. And now clearly right in mid tier, which is decent. It's funny how my opinion was going down on Bayonetta, but then she got buffed again. So if you saw my last tier list, she was in this area next to Corrin. So yeah, they're decent. Well, they're actually pretty good in many scenarios, especially against characters who can combo hard, and they can give very common top tier or high tier Rob sometime struggle. Edgeguard is good, but struggling to kill in scenarios of that neutral is what holds them back and puts them into mid tier. Other than that, they're pretty good. So I think there's a couple of other mid tiers left. I think next is going to be I think it's gonna be the Shotos. I'm gonna put them. I don't know, for record. I'm pretty sure most people are just gonna skip to the end of the tier list because I don't have background music. So they're most likely gonna skip to the end of the tier list and just see, hey, why is Ken slightly better than Ryu? I think they're in the same spot because they cover different matchups, and I know it's a cop out to place these two together, but I really don't know how to really place them because Ryu could be here, but I think they're wrong. So I'll kind of break down the strengths of them individually, the weaknesses individually. Then I'll bring together all together. So first off, both characters can really hit hard and kill almost instantly. We all know that. However, their recoveries are edge guardable. The disadvantages are great. Even with focus attack can be predicted, and when you bait it out and they struggle to land, so however, they're really strong. They can go stupid early percents. Now let's talk about them individually. Ryu has the decent camping game, and the not so complex combos mean he can kill consistently. However, if Ryu doesn't get to play his game, it's game over. And there are several characters who don't let Ryu play his game. and that sucks. And Ken, on the other hand, although Ryu can break shields more consistently than Ken, a lot of his stuff can be SDI'd, and because they're all multi-hits, SDI, you can pop out of them. And also, he's more aggressive. He doesn't have a way to play defense, in my opinion. Like, his fireball is good, but not as good as Ryu's. And that means his neutral is as good as Ryu's. Really, both of these characters are really strong, but they both have their flaws, and if you don't let them play their game, they crumble. So, I know I'm placing a lot of... Because, like, my tier list used to be huge, where top tier was 20 characters, high tier used to be almost 30, and then a lot of these characters, like, the cutoff was definitely... would be around here, maybe. But as time goes on, that's an exaggeration. But I'm starting to see all the flaws in all the people I used to put in high tier, so yeah. Who places next? I think it's going to be time for Mii Brawler. I think Mii Brawler is actually here, right about there. Mii Brawler is pretty good. They have all these flashy kill confirms, and they're definitely benefit the most from being a customizable character, because you can actually have multiple game plans with each set. You can have shot put, or the neutral B that kills. You can mess with your recovery. You can get flip kick, which helps a lot. Flip kick is really good. But also, hitboxes still aren't the greatest. If they don't land a kill confirm, they still struggle to kill. And another thing is that the recovery still isn't the best, even with flip kick. But if, like, they're like below the stage, they can really struggle, and that hurts. But they're decent. Like, they have all these amazing combos, amazing kill confirms, and definitely a lot of ways to play the game depending on your build. Unlike these two characters who you kind of have to play specifically for, Mii Brawler definitely feels the most like a customizable character. However, not being able to, his also landing is good, but having that lack of big hitboxes hurts, because those hitboxes link into the kill combos, and if he doesn't land his kill combo, you're gone, you know? So, next I'm going to place Falco. I think Falco is right about there. Falco's really strong. Falco does a ton of damage when he hits you. So much damage when he hits you. It's insane. His neutral is mediocre, but he also has a reflector and a way to force approaches with laser. And I'm biased because I don't like this character, I'll say it. But the reflector and the lasers definitely help push characters, zoners in. And then, since a lot of zoners don't have the best disadvantages, suddenly hits you with an up tilt, boom, you're gone. However, recovery isn't the greatest. Landing isn't the best, in my opinion. Though he has a spike. Like, Falco has a lot of tools that make him strong. But the neutral isn't good if you know how to play it. And I've gotten better at the matchup. And I feel like a lot of zoners have ways to get through sometimes. Notice how I say sometimes, though. Like, they're pretty strong, actually. But I feel like Larry Lur's opinion of them is a bit optimistic. Like, don't get me wrong. I love an optimistic opinion, because I see Rob players put out some of the worst matchup charts ever. Peach matchup charts are terrible. And, like, the fact that we have someone optimistic about their main, say that they're nearly a top tier, that's amazing. But the kill throws still don't function properly, which hurts. Like, they can struggle to kill if they aren't landing advantage state and you fall out of his up tilt percents. But, man, when you are at his up tilt percent, he go dummy. He go dummy deals so much damage, it kills you. So I think there's a couple of other characters in high tier. I think the next high tier is mid tier is going to be is it going to be I think it's going to be Terry. Scary Terry. I mentioned this in my newer version of the overrated characters video, and I hate the gap right here. I hate how there's like this one character right between the fighting game characters, but Terry's pretty good. He has all these crazy combos, but the edge guarding landing, and sometimes struggles under defensive play, hurts, but he also has a way to swing the game around super hard. And that, in my opinion, is really good. So, yeah. Next up is going to be... Oh, wait. There's 3 characters left in mid-tier. I think maybe Ness could be worse than Terry. Yeah, I'll put Ness right here. Don't get me wrong, Ness is really good. But, two flaws. Hitboxes, not being the biggest, and the recovery being edge-guardable sometimes with counters. Sword characters kind of get Ness in trouble, but when he gets in, he has all these amazing kill combos. The recovery has actually been optimized where if you PK flash in the air, you kind of stall your air momentum. You also have a tool to get at a disadvantage, better ways to land because of PSI Magnet and his down air. His hitboxes are really big. He has great ledge trapping with his smash attacks with the yo-yo, PK fire combos. He's good at boxing. Like, he's really good against characters who don't have sword hitboxes. But characters who have sword boxes, my god, just give it a struggle. But also, he beats Pikachu, who is top 3, which makes him a very strong counterpick character. But hitboxes snuffing him out definitely hurts him a little. And, like, Terry doesn't have great hitboxes either, but Terry has a way to swing the game around with his go mechanic. So, yeah. Next up is going to be this boy, Cloud. I still think Cloud is super overrated. I've seen people put him at upper high tier. I've seen people put him top tier, and I don't get it. He does good against characters who don't have the best sword hitbox. Like, ironically, he does good against Ness. But, he struggles to kill still. He doesn't combo you. He can do good at advantage state, don't get me wrong. But his advantage state is good, but he doesn't combo you. It's besides landing fair cross slash at early percentages. Okay, cool. And yeah, the uppie is good, but people are learning how to SDI that, which means he's losing a big chunk of his damage. He also has a horrible recovery without limit, a mediocre one with limit, because while it goes far, it's exploitable. And, like, he has ways to kill, but most of them are out of shield options. And every Cloud shoots Blade Beam when it's at limit, so limit's basically useless unless there's for recovery, except sometimes. But if you just play, and if you get through Cloud's shields and grab him and just throw him off stage, you kill him. Like, Cloud is super overrated. Yeah, he does a lot of damage. Yeah, he has good juggling. Yeah, he has sword hitboxes, but the fact that players can learn how to parry him. Like, Cloud is annoying to fight. Don't get me wrong. And I know at the first major, Infinity Card, I think it is, Cloud plays second. But also, he was playing Roy, too. So, like, Cloud is a counterpick character. But characters can give a very hard time and can stall him out and keep him from killing, which hurts so much. Like, I'm very passionate about this because I think Cloud is one of the most overrated characters in the game. Constantly see him in, like, upper high tier or top tier? No. Wrong. It's just wrong. And it's funny how all these so many Smash 4 threats are in this tier with Cloud, Corey, Bayonetta, Ryu. Bad. It's where we've become, where these characters used to be ruling the meta, and now they're just a bunch of counterpick characters. So next is the final mid tier. I do not like how there's like a thing here where there's like a little gap. You know, we'll throw Dark Pit. We'll just throw Dark Pit in. Don't worry. Dark Pit doesn't really have many differences against Pit besides the neutral. Maybe Dark Pit's better. It doesn't matter. These two are basically the same. I'm just putting Dark Pit in because I don't like how there's like a little white character hanging down there. I'm doing it for neatness sake, so just bear with me. But Steve is interesting. He's the character that I have some of the biggest question marks about in this tier list because he does a ton of damage. His neutral is so annoying where he just places blocks and he can just mine, get his resources, and then come out and fight you. And then he could use Cart against you. But Steve is definitely the most prediction-based one on the tier list, even more than Kazuya, in my opinion. Because it's going to be weird to see how he does offline. And I feel like offline, he's a lot worse. I feel like he can get comboed hard. He's still slow, so he can get zoned out. Like, Zordus can have a field day with him. I feel like characters who have decent hitboxes can also have a field day against him. But, yeah, Steve is definitely really weird to rank, as you would probably guess. So, that's it for mid-tiers. Let me just get a sip of water at me. So, now we head into high tiers, I think. I hope I covered all the mid-tiers. Did I? Yes, I did. I think every character above here now out is a high tier or above. So high tiers, in my opinion, are the characters whereas low mid tiers covered obscure matchups or like one or two matchups, and mid tiers covered a bunch of matchups but didn't have enough winning matchups to be mainable. I feel like that tide definitely turns with the high tiers. High tiers, in my opinion, like, I'm doing a bad job explaining what the tiers mean, but basically the mid tiers were the characters that beat a lot of characters, but all and relevant characters, so they could be good counter picks, but they didn't have enough winning matches to put them to be mainable. Whereas that's the difference with high tiers. And here we go. High tiers are the characters that are really good. They are definitely mainable. Viable was secondary, but what keeps them from being top tiers is that they lose too many matchups. They might have a -2 or a big disadvantage matchup that hurts them. But most of the matchups are -1s and a lot of decent even matchups, and they have the tools to get through them. And they beat several higher top tiers. So, that being said, I also want to say that high tier is the biggest tier. So, while I don't believe the whole everyone is mainable in Ultimate and you can win with them, I do believe that the biggest chunk of the cast are the characters who are mainable but you need a secondary, which is really good. So, first character is Morph. I know Morph has a bad reputation in Smash Ultimate because he's worse than Lucina, but that doesn't affect how he is if he's worse than an Echo Fighter, because he's still decent enough in my opinion, where, you know, he can space you out extremely well. I'm just changing up the chargers for my stuff. Okay, there we go. He has some great spacing, but the issue is that if he doesn't land his tipper hitboxes, he struggles to kill. He struggles to kill, or he kills at 80. Like, he is really weird and inconsistent. However, I feel like if someone were to put time into Marth, and I've been hearing some Marth say that he could combo sour spots into sweet spots, which really helps a lot. But that's just going off of what Twitter says, and Twitter isn't always the most reliable source. And the issue is, Morph can be really good, but the thing is, why play it when you have the easier version and a better version? Super exploitable. Well, not exploitable, but like, that hurts why you would play Marth. Because Marth can be better than this, but unfortunately, because there's a better version of himself who's easier, why play him? Like, Marth is hard to rank, you know, because he could swing super hard, where he sometimes doesn't kill you, but he kills you at ridiculously early percents. And I think, like, the archetype of him and Lucina is also still pretty good, because he still has a good edge guard, he still has a good neutral, he can still space you out in some matches extremely well. So yeah, I think Marth's really good. Definitely underrated. Next up is going to be Pichu, the Fall from Grace. I know he got buffed in 11.0, but it isn't enough in my opinion to get him higher, because he still struggles against zoners. Still the lightest character in the game who hurts himself with some of his main approach option, and that hurts. Because if you play defensive against Pichu, and he's just constantly racking up damage on himself, you can kill him super early because he's the lightest character in the game. So, Pichu is just... But when Pichu does get in, he hits you once he kills you. Like, he is super strong. His combos are amazing. Neutral is still pretty good because it's Pikachu's neutral, except he has to be more cautious with his T-Jolts where Pikachu could just spam him. Like, his aggression is super strong. And his kill power is amazing. But he also just doesn't have range. So he can struggle against swordy hitboxes. It's weird. Pichu's also like Marth, where super inconsistent, but consistent enough to put him into high tier. Alright, so this character kind of tanked from my other tier list, but I still think they're pretty good. That's Ike. Ike is no longer narrative. Well, he still kind of is narrative character, but he also has tools like his up B out of shield, down tilt into stuff, killing forward air, moves that can just hit like a truck, and of course he still has some air combos, and that up air that can keep you in the air for days and kill you. Definitely a really strong character. But I feel like characters who have sword hitboxes can still snuff them out of the air, which definitely hurts a lot. Because a lot of his stuff takes some wind up, or with Nair, you kind of have to land it. And characters can just jump up instantly and hit him out of the air. His recovery is decent because he doesn't have to recover low. He can recover high with a side B, and that can be hard to deal with. But if he has to recover low, he just falls flat on his face. And when you recover high, some characters can actually deal with his high recovery. But Ether, he has like a lot of tools. It is like Neutral B, Radiant, what's it called? Path of Radiance? No, that's his game. Blue Fire Thing, we'll call it that. Can be good for Edgeguard. Like, Ike has a lot of good tools. It's just that he can be snuffed out of the air, and his recovery is kind of exploitable when he has to recover low. And characters can do that, so yeah. Next up is going to be another tie, because Ultimate's really hard to rank. I think Samus is here. Maybe Samus is higher. So, Samus is pretty good. But I feel like a lot of people are overrating them because of the fact that we've been online for so long that people's minds are starting to rot a little. And the zoning is still very strong, don't get me wrong. And their close quarter combat tools are actually underrated because my friend plays no projectile Samus, and they can do a bunch of damage. However, the fact that they don't have a good tool in whether you get close to them, like they have Nair, and not a lot of good out of shield options, in my opinion, that hurts. Their recovery is decent because they can mine. The ledge trapping is really strong, but they're also floaty, so they struggle to land. Sometimes though they can do down B and kind of change their mobility, but they're also floaty, so floating makes them awkward to combo, but also they have a harder time getting down. And the recovery doesn't go too high, though they have Zair. Like, they have all these amazing combos with or without projectiles. Like, the neutral's really good, ledge trapping, but disadvantage isn't great. Alright, here we go. My main, Link. Some of you may be surprised that I'm placing him this low. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Dill, you're a pessimistic main. Well, first off, my opinions have actually changed since I've done my matchup chart. I think the really bad matchups are becoming better because I learned how to fight them. But here's the thing with Link. This is a for now placement. Him, Link, at his current place is right here, lower high tier. But he could be maxed out into a top 10 character with the amazing Bob stuff. But because those haven't been maximized yet, I kind of had to place him lower. But I still believe in this character so much. He's my main. The bomb setups are amazing with this character. The sword hitboxes, Nair is good. The zoning is good. The out of shield options are great. He's a massive sword that hits super hard, but he's slow. And characters can edge guard him if he has to use his up B, but he could also bomb recover, which is really strong. The resource management of Link is really hard to do because if bomb is on stage where you try to be aggressive with it and you hit it away and you get hit off stage, you can't recover as well. But also, I feel like that's overblown because Link mains can be good with resource management, and you have Nair, which can help you get out of stuff situations, like just spamming it. Link does lose to some rushdown, though I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it is. Because I think he's even with, like, Roy Crom still, and several other characters who are pretty fast, and he does decent against other characters. So Edge guard is good. Like, the way Link can play with Bomb and his setups is what still puts him in high tier, and what can put him into top 10 or top tier is really those extremely powerful combos, like the fair loops, the bear loops, and stuff like that. The fair footstool infinite, I'm not really going to consider because no one's just going to do that in a tournament. But like what could sway the matchups into even or winning is the defense, is the fact that he can fair loop and kill you at 60. And he could create pressure from across the stage with Bomb. Like, that's what makes Link so good, is that you can play it so differently, and all of his moves can coalesce into a functional kit. With combos, with multi-hits. Like, Link is one of those characters in the game that just feels right. And that's why I play them, you know? Like, right now, they're, like, top 35. And, again, that's for now placement. They definitely have the potential to go up. It's a matter of if. No, it's a matter of when, not if. Because Link is also not really a common character because Young Link exists, but also, and T, the best Link, also kind of a just spam snare, but sometimes, but he also does the fair loops and stuff. So it's very interesting. I feel like as I get better with the Bomb stuff, like, I'm not practicing fair loops right now. I'm just practicing moving the Bomb across the stage in ridiculous ways to create massive amounts of pressure, and that definitely helps. So, yeah. As you can probably tell, he's the character by far that I know the most about. Maybe Cloud, because I used to main Cloud, but yeah. Link is really good. Who's next? There's like, this is where we get to a hard part of the tier list where, oh, that's why it looked weird. I forgot Luigi. Oh man, I forgot Luigi. Well, that means I don't need Dark Pit on the tier list. Get out of here. I forgot Luigi. God. Oops. Where is he placed? Probably... I'll place him here. I forgot Luigi. I was looking at the two of us. I was like, hey, mid-tier's looking a little bit weird. Where's... Oh, I forgot this character. So, we're going to go back into mid-tier for a second. Horrible disadvantage. Well, horrible airspeed. You gotta respect Alby. Recovery is exploitable. Can be snuffed out of the air. Doesn't have the best hitboxes sometimes. But the nair and the grab combos where he can kill you at any percent, that's huge. And the edge guarding from Zaring helps a lot. The Great Fireballs can help into combos. Nair can break combos and he can turn anything into a combo. Like, Luigi's super good. He's super strong, but his flaws are horrendous. He has some extreme strengths, but also some terrible flaws. That's what puts him here, but this is why I placed him here. He could be lower, but he could also be higher. So, sorry about that. I forgot Luigi. I think... So, back into high tier. As I mentioned, this is where things get kind of hard, because... I'm gonna go with, Rosalina. Like, I made a tier list before this, but my opinions are kind of changing on the spot. Because realistically, when you're looking at somebody's tier list, characters until maybe top 2 or top 3 are kind of not confirmed. Like, these characters can all be interchanged. These 2 can be interchanged. These 4 can be interchanged. Like, it's really hard to set characters in stone. I could change my opinion about Marth. He could be hard to Pichu tomorrow, so don't take order 100% serious, you know? So, yeah. Rosalina. The character has some insane desyncing. The desyncing actually fits the character a lot more than the Ice Climbers, because Luma can be used to a lot more. But they struggle with sword characters, but that's it. The combos are insane. Nair is insane. They can slow the game down so much. They can absorb projectiles, which helps a ton. But I feel like the problem is the sword hitboxes really, really hurt Luma. And Rosalina is floaty, so she struggles in the air. You know what? I think Rosalina is right here. I think they're worse than Link. Maybe I'm biased because Link is my main, but the sword hitboxes can hurt Rosalina a bit. But the desyncing is insane. But it's hard to tell because Rosalie is a very uncommon character. Oh god. You can't hear it, but this song played at when I first beat Xenoblade, so oh, the emotions are coming back. Uh it's hard to rank Rosalina because no one plays her. The Buzzer's probably gonna play Min Min offline, and it's hard to really gauge Japanese tournaments because they play a lot more defensive than America. So it's really hard to rank Rosalina. She could be, for all I know, she could be here, or she could be even here. I think for now, I'll place her here. The neutral is good, but I feel like the sword hitboxes and her disadvantages are great. And the fact that she doesn't have a hitbox in her recovery means she can't get comboed or countered, but also she could just get hit out of it. So yeah. Who's next? This music's gonna make me cry. Alright, so I think next is gonna be Greninja. Falcon. So Falcon, I almost place in top, like very high tier. But as time goes on, my pain's starting to lower on him again. Because I still feel like, because yeah, with the IDJ combos, he could consistently kill at 0. And the recovery buff helped him a lot. But here's the thing. His neutral still isn't great. Like, he has some amazing rushdown, but I feel like characters can kind of go against that and still do decent against him. He can get comboed super hard still. And the recovery still doesn't go far enough. So if you hit him far enough away, he is going to die. And several characters can kind of just hit him far away and keep him in disadvantage. But also, now with the IDJ combos and a better recovery, he has the ability to kill at some ridiculously early percents. Yeah. He has a couple of -2s though, but it's fucking worse than Link. I like putting my main higher and higher, because I think my main is insane, but, you know. Yeah. I think this is where Falcon goes, yeah. Alright, so now a character I could definitely put above Link. Greninja. Oh god. This is gonna hurt. This music's starting to hurt a little. Greninja. Now, if you saw from my local that I go to, I got sauced by one on stream. So that could be a little bit biased because I don't know how to fight this character with my main. So I could be biased, but, you know. I feel like Greninja is pretty good. The combos are really good. Consistent killing. Can force approaches with Water Shuriken. Really fast. Recovery goes really far, though it's exploitable. Like, Greninja is really good. But he can definitely out-cheese you, but I feel like not having out-shield options and not the best options in the air definitely hurts a little. So, it's hard to explain Greninja, because I don't really have the most experience against Greninja, to be honest. I just know that my character might win. Maybe goes even with Greninja. Can get comboed hard because they're a fast faller, so, yeah. Who's next? Who's next? I think, Mega Man. We'll go with Mega Man. Mega Man's zoning is insane. This character can constantly wall you out, chip at you, and kill stupid early. With, his neutral B where he grabs it and then into his up tilt. He kills consistently. The only problem with this character is sometimes he can struggle to, like, he could crumble under pressure when people are in on him, but it also he has Leaf Shield out of shield, which is really stupid, you know? The music's over. Oh, the music ended. That. We'll go with that. I didn't know the music ended for a second. So Mega Man's recovery isn't the greatest, and he can kind of struggle in the air. Yeah, he can struggle decently in the air, but how... I almost put him below Greninja, But how do you get in on, like, getting in on this character is a complete nightmare, besides for a couple of characters, because he just invalidates and walls out so many characters. It is a nightmare to fight Mega Man, and that frustration builds up. Mega Man is really strong, and then he hits you like a truck sometimes with Flame Blade, or Flare Blade, or whatever it's called. So yeah, Mega Man's pretty good. A character that has also fallen, in my opinion, very, very far, Inkling. Did I forget Diddy? Or Kazuya? I'll go over Kazuya next, because I think he's worse than Diddy. Kazuya. We'll go over Kazuya now, I guess. Actually, I'm thinking about Kazuya's disadvantage a bit. I think for right now, he places here. That's where Kazuya goes. I'm sorry this is disorganized, because Kazuya is really weird, because I fought one in tournament, but I was, in my opinion at least, I just was the better player. Well, it's hard because I think the person was just using a new character, and I've been playing my character for, like, a long time, so I think that's how I just cheesed him out. Kazuya is very new on the map, very strong, has some of the most ridiculous combos possible, Luigi on steroids, and annoying zoning tool or camping tool, but he can be zoned out, in my opinion. Like, he's definitely the best Shoto, but I'm honestly questioning if I even want to place him here, because I can see him going lower. I don't want to be like one of those players where, oh, you can keep him out, but also, there's characters who can have to fight up close, and he can grab them and do a bunch of damage on them. And he can go through hitboxes. He has infinites, this character. But yeah, I think he's better than. I think he's right there. It's kind of a low placement, but I think he's right about there. So next, of course, is gonna be Inkling, the fall from grace of Inkling. Honestly, I think Inkling is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but against sword hitboxes, they don't do great. Well, it's weird because characters with big, obnoxious hitboxes can just wall her out. She struggles in scramble situations. Her neutral's really good, and her dash dance is really good. But besides her back air, the character really just doesn't have tools that can really poke well. And that hurts, in my opinion. Don't have a good way of landing. Don't have a good way of getting down. Back air is really strong, but that's basically it. Back air is like basically the only tool that they have, because everything else you can kind of predict it is punishable. Like, they do a bunch of damage with strings, but they can't clutch, and that's what hurts them, in my opinion. Next up is Diddy Kong. This character is a menace. Diddy Kong is one of the most menacing characters, and it's a funny monkey. Banana's stupid. They pluck the banana, throw it at you, and unleash a Hellspawn combo. They're super hard to hit because they're so mobile, it's so small. They have really pretty good hitboxes. The whole not being able to kill option kind of went away because now Diddy Kongs are figuring out how to combo into spikes off stage, which is insane. And like, they are so cracked. This character is so not okay. But maybe their recovery still isn't the best. But as Tweak is getting better, and like Diddy Kong is rising on the map with so. The local I went to this Sunday had 3 of them. Like, this character is definitely going higher, and I think they could go higher, but I don't think quite top tier yet. Like, because they have some really good matchups. They might beat Pikachu, but they also struggle with Zone. Like, Isabelle beats the character. Like, Zone kind of shuts this character down, or characters who can deal with Banana. But, damn, this character has a lot of tools. I think the next spot is going to be, ZSS. ZSS sucks. Oh my god. No, they don't suck, don't get me wrong. They're really good. Their mobility is insane. They can kill stupid early. but a lot of their hitboxes, they're on multi-hits, just don't work. They also lack range on some hitboxes. Characters who can just throw out options against ZSS can kind of hurt her sometimes. Like Link, they're stupid. Her recovery also doesn't go the farthest, in my opinion, though she has a tether. Flip kick's really good. Like, I feel like ZSS, like, I see so many people either putting ZSS in the middle of high tier or in top tier before the nerfs. And I just want to put it this way. If you don't know the matchup, you're going to get obliterated. But my friend has been playing ZSS for a long time and just recently decided to main them. And now that I have a bunch of experience against ZSS, I can say that this character is very overrated. Because they're also light, so they explode. Some of their moves just miss and don't work. And they're also exhausting, from what my friend says. And if they're exhausting to use, that can affect how you play, though. Mars has won multiple tournaments, but I think ZSS is very overrated. Because this character constantly gets nerfed, yet they're still placed in, like, top tier. It's insane. Like, their mobility is really good. Flip kick is amazing, and they can kill stupid early. And they can kind of just play this game where they're constantly zoning you out and chipping at you. But it just isn't enough to overlook the fact that sometimes their moves just miss. And they lack range on some things. And that Nair nerf and that up B nerf hurt hard. Who's next? Olimar? Probably Olimar. Oh, I keep forgetting characters. Yoshi. Yoshi goes right here. That's where Yoshi is. So Yoshi's really good. He's really, if you don't have a sword hitbox, you're not going to have a fun time. Because he can just get in with, he can just mash on you with ridiculous combos, kill you stupid early percentage, chew at your shield with down air, pressure you with eggs. They fly for the air, so recovering is not an issue. The only issue with Yoshi is the sword hitboxes. Hitboxes that are disjointed kind of shut this character down, and there are several characters with big hitboxes. You know what? I think Yoshi's better than... It's close, because, like, I grinded this matchup with a character, with a secondary, and eventually I figured it out, but it's hard. I feel like they can be predictable. Screw it. They're there. Yoshi's really good. Like, landing, like, yeah, landing is hard, but what can you do? It's so hard to rank Yoshi, because I just don't like this character at all. So, because they have so many tools, it's just that they get stuffed out by sword hitboxes. But, yeah. So, on to Olimar. I'm not going to skip Olimar. Olimar is definitely the spot. I know I keep changing stuff around. Olimar's really strong. Don't get me wrong. Olimar zoning is insane. The resource management for this character is definitely difficult. Don't get me wrong. But also, he does so much damage just by throwing Pikmin at you or up smashing it into a combo that does 63 damage. And even if he doesn't do that, the Pikmin just latch onto you and do so much. And all of our mates will definitely know, like, their characters that will not be able to hit them. And they do so much damage. Up throw kills, purple kills. The recovery goes far, but I do believe it's exploitable. But Olimar's really strong, in my opinion. Definitely a really good character. Who's next? Let's just make sure I'm not forgetting any characters, of course. I think next up is going to be our boy, Chrom. We'll play Chrom next. Chrom is really good, and the IGA combos are really... He has the ability to play a bit more defensive than Roy, which is why I think which benefits him over Roy if you want to play Chrom, like I do. The sword hitbox, because at any percent, whether spaced out or close to him, he's going to hit you with consistent damage and drag you across the stage and sometimes kill you, which is really strong. A great out of shield option, super fast. If Chrom didn't have the exploitable recovery, he'd be the best character in the game. Maybe Edge, maybe not the best character, but top 5 because he wouldn't have to worry about because his landing game is okay, I guess, but he also goes fastball air dodges, and he has all these insane hitboxes. But the recovery definitely hurts him a little, in my opinion. Actually, I think Sonic goes right here. I think Chrome's better than Sonic, maybe probably. So if you went to my last tier list stream, you probably remember me putting Sonic in, like, top tier. I'll let it rot in my brain a little. He's definitely still a strong character, don't get me wrong, but definitely not what I was thinking because, yeah, well, he can timer stall you and stuff. There also comes the issue where if he's definitely annoying to fight, but characters with better hitboxes and that can zone him out can definitely hurt him because Sonic has a great win condition, and he can still go up. His win condition is, hey, I have a percent lead on you. I'm going to play as defensive as possible and run away. However, if he has to play the offensive game, he could really struggle because his hitboxes aren't great, and a lot of his tools are just meant to, like, keep you out. But, yeah, games are going to take long against Sonic, but his recovery is also exploitable, and I feel like Sonic feeds off of frustration. He also doesn't do much damage when he hits you. Actually he does. Sonic's really good, but I'm not sure better. Better than Chrom. Probably better than Chrom. Like, is it? Probably. Actually, I think I know who I'm going to place next. Sephiroth. Sephiroth's definitely right there. Sephiroth is another newer character, 10.0 release, and I do feel like that they are really good. Don't get me wrong. They're up here. They have the counter is insane. Shadow Flare where the side B is insane. The hitboxes are very weird. They're too specific in my opinion. Because, yeah, well, he can hit you specifically here. Some shorter characters can also just mess with him and kind of hit him in weird spots. His Nair is really good, though. Recovery edge guardable, but it goes far. And using up B offensively is really good. Shadow Flare could be what's it called? The neutral B. If you're just pressuring with that, with constantly pulling out but shielding, that could do a bunch of pressure. Then you throw it out and you hurt your opponent, which is really strong. Like, Sephiroth is a really good character. It's just that I'm not quite buying into the hype of him just yet, because I know people are placing him top 10, especially Tweak. Again, props to him to being optimistic about his character, but I just feel like Tweak is also forgetting that he's Tweak and just better than everyone else. And I feel like we haven't had time to fully let Sephiroth sit in the meta, because his moves, while huge, definitely have a bit of startup, like his up air, but also his down air is a good landing tool, so yeah, Sephiroth is really good. Next up is going to be Sheik. Sheik is really good. Sheik is super strong. Sheik has needles and all these amazing tools. The combos for this character are even more insane than Diddy Kong. Needles can help you aggress onto people or play defensive. She can explode onto you. Recovery is really good. She can very quickly get down. Her neutral's really good. It's just that she's light and loses the trades sometimes. Though I don't even think that's an issue because her combo king is so insane. It's really good. Like, Sheik is so fast too. Her speed is insane. Super insane. Because she dash dances, she combos onto you with needles, and just goes off. There's very few characters who can keep Sheik out, and there's very few characters who can give Sheik trouble. Like maybe Wolf, like Pika. But other than that, oh yeah, Ice Climbers. But other than that, I think she does pretty decent against everyone, or just demolishes characters. I'd definitely place Sonic too low. He's definitely going to go higher. So, next is going to be Roy. Wario. Because I was going to place Roy next, but Wario. Wario's really good. Actually, I'll place him here. Wario's combos are still insane, but he could get walled out by characters with better hitboxes. And that Waft nerf actually hurt him a little. Because now he has to be a bit more precise with Waft, where he could just throw out up tilt and then hit you and to Waft. Recovery's so exploitable, but he's also just so insane in the air. I feel like good hitboxes definitely stuff about. But he would definitely used to be top 5. Probably top 10. But I feel like the nerfs definitely hit because now he has a harder time killing. And his most consistent kill confirm got hit hard. So now he kind of has to be more specific and precise with it. Which definitely hurts because he can't just throw it out and just hit you once. And just throw out the move and hit you. So. Wow, Roy. And then I think there I would place Sonic. Okay, yeah. I like that a lot better. Yeah, I think that's where it goes. So Roy is super strong. He like Krob definitely struggles with his recovery. Roy's recovery snaps to the ledge, which makes it better, though it still isn't great. His killing potential is insane. Sour spots come into sweet spots. He goes off with some of the most ridiculous kill power in the whole game. His disadvantage is still okay. Like, I covered mostly with Roy, except some characters can kind of take advantage of his sour spots, and some characters can't get in, but the fact that he could just constantly be in your face, man, that hits hard. He's less precise than Krob, too, which is funny, because he's the one with the sour sweet spots. I think next... Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest. I think Sonic's top tier. Like, I'm just thinking about it more and more, and I honestly think Sonic is definitely top tier. Like, even with the Wi-Fi, but, like, the more I think about it, I just look at him and think, damn, this is such a good character. But we'll leave him there, and then I'll just readjust it when we get in, but... So next up, I think, is going to be, Pokemon Trainer? Snake. Snake is insane. Snake is really good. But the problem is he has a bunch of even matchups. When Snake's zoning correctly, and it's hard to fight Snake because each Snake player has their own patterns of playing. But when Snake goes off, he does so much damage, keeps you out, the big brain of this character, so it can be hard to fight him. But his disadvantage is terrible. Struggles to land. Recovery isn't the greatest. But yeah, that's his only flaw, to be honest. And the fact that he's kind of mentally exhausted. You have to be playing perfectly with Snake to constantly be going. But also his Nikita, which blows up recoveries. And his edge trap is insane. Snake is just really good. So I think there's three more high tiers. Rob. Rob's right there. Rob goes dummy, but my opinion's kind of changed on Rob after a while, where... Yeah, he can kill you at percents, but even with me not being the biggest fan of Rob matchup charts, I still think Robs are definitely underrated character. He's still really strong because he has Nair, he has all these insane combos that can kill at 0, the Gyro, which can be good at zoning. He can be good at zoning, he can be played creatively, or he can just mash, and either works. But the disadvantage isn't great. Enough to be a top tier, where I originally thought he'd be. But, man, Rob is insane. He is insane. But, as much as I don't want to bite into some of the matchups Rob made to talk about, I also do believe some of them are still terrible. So, yeah. And I think this might be the final... Nah, there's one or two other potential ones. I think, I still think PT is really good. Super strong character. But each of the Pokemon have their flaws. It's 3 low tiers stable together. Because Squirtle is by far the best Pokemon. But he can die early. But he can get some insane combos. Ivysaur is terrible though. Ivysaur is really bad. Like, I'm trying to toggle Echo. Ivysaur would probably be in here. That's also where Charizard would probably be, but, you know, what can you do? But Ivysaur can be good in disadvantage or advantage and just kill you really early. And if you want to play a heavy character, you got Charizard, who still isn't great, but good enough. Like, all the characters are pretty okay, but they're meh individually, but together they staple it to a high tier. But I feel like characters are getting better at zoning them out or killing them faster, and just being better at taking out 2 or 3 of the Pokemons in a matchup, and that hits a lot. I think this is the final high tier. Young Link. I think there's one more high tier, and it might surprise you who it might be, though I'm debating putting them there. So, Young Link. Young Link is still really good, in my opinion. He has all these insane combos, but he struggles to kill. And that's what keeps him from being a high tier and top tier. And his recovery is exploitable. That's it. Because his zoning's insane. He has ways to keep you out. Like, if you get on him, he has the tools to box you, or he could just combo you. Maybe sword hitboxes that are bigger than his, but it's so hard to get in on this character. Young Link is really, really good. Super strong character. I think he could be even a top tier, maybe. But the fact that he struggles to kill sometimes, it definitely hurts. So I think... Is that it? I think that's it. So I think every other character on this list is a top tier. Let me just make sure. I think Peach is probably better than Sonic. Because while Peach loses more matchups, probably, I don't think they're all winnables. Peach's swing factor is, hey, I'm zoning you out with Turnip, 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 Turnip. Okay, now I'm going to hit you once and kill you. Her combos are insane, but... And her Vantage State's insane. Edgeguard's insane. Float is so dumb. The character has so many ways to kill. Peach is really good. Really strong character. The neutral's really good. Just the disadvantage is okay. She's floaty, but her recovery's really good. It's just that she's kind of fallen out a little. But, you know. Actually, I think there's a character in between. Pac-Man. Pac-Man? Busted. Pac-Man is busted. Pac-Man is a super strong zoner. Actually, screw it. I think Pac-Man's better than Peach. Come at me. Pac-Man is really strong. Peach is... these 3 characters are all interchangeable, in my opinion. Pac-Man is the character that just places the hierarchy down, which invalidates all zoners, charges off a fruit, then he comes after you, and he just annihilates you with a disgusting combo. Pac-Man mains are brilliant. They are so smart with their character. And they come up with these creative combos that just destroy. Bonus Fruit's really good. Forward Smash is fast and strong. Nair is good to keep your opponents out. Pac-Man is just really good. Such a strong character, in my opinion. So, now this is where the tier list becomes extremely difficult for me. Because I have no idea who places where at this point. Because all these characters I could say at the lower, and the top 3 characters, or top 5, I can kind of place. But when we're talking about the lower part of the top 10, or just outside of it, it becomes a full-blown scramble. So, we're going to take some consideration. And with that, I think that Fox is the next character to talk about. Fox is still really good, in my opinion. His rushdown's insane. However, he's definitely combo food, and the recovery is definitely bad. And those are it. His recovery's still really good, though. Like, I'm talking about top tier perspective, because he annihilates characters. Super fast, can force approaches with lasers. The reflector helps with getting in on zoners. Super fast, though. His speed is insane. Combos you super hard, and then he can kill you super early. I feel like his, he's very comboable, though, so that's what holds him back. Next up is going to be... We're really big braining right now. I think that Shulk is probably next. Shulk is really good. He validates characters with his giant sword and Monado arts, so he can break out of combos. Yeah, Shulk is... I'll put characters below Shulk. Shulk is still really good, but the shield nerf did help some characters beat him. But he only has like 2 or 3 losing matchups still. Yeah, screw it. Shulk is better than Mario. I'll definitely place Mario below Shulk. I still think Shulk is really good. Shulk sometimes struggles with the zoning. I guess defensive play, but even that's a stretch. Shulk is just such a strong character. And having such a big hitbox like that with something like Monado is insane because Buster can do so much damage, Jump can get him back to the stage, Shield can get him out of combo, Speed can change neutral, and Smash can kill instantly. So Mario is really good. Don't get me wrong. But, like, he can combo you and kill you. Like, I was wrong about this character, like, because I always place him, like, maybe, like, around this area. Where's top 20? Is here top 20? Probably. And I was wrong about this character. This character can combo you hard, but I feel like characters with big hitboxes can at least contest against him. And he can struggle to kill if he isn't landing a kill confirm. But that's basically it. His recovery's really good. He has Flood, which invalidates recoveries. He has Fireball, so he can camp aggressively. And he's just a very strong character. Maybe he struggles to land sometimes. Sure. Okay. But, yeah. Who's next? This is really difficult. I feel like Min Min is probably next, actually. Min Min invalidates characters. Like, she has a couple of bad matchups, a couple more than probably Shulk or Mario. But she just invalidates matchups. I'm gonna place Min Min here. Above Mario. Min Min's neutral is incredible. She validates several relevant characters, just zones characters out, destroys recoveries who don't snap to the ledge. She has Nair, which can keep opponents out, and then she Nairs, like, she can kill a 40 across the stage. And that's insane. The recovery is exploitable, don't get me wrong, but, yeah, I'll put Min Min above Shulk. Yeah, I think that's the best placement. So next is probably going to be Mr. Game & Watch. Up out of shield. Up out of shield. You can't... His hitboxes contest against some zoning hitboxes. Like, he definitely loses to sorting hitboxes, but he also just invalidates so many zoners. So many... The bucket buff helps. His advantage state is insane. Actually insane. Up B... He can mash all these safe moves, and they just do so much damage. And what do you want me to say? The character, oh, he's light, sure. Sword hitboxes, okay, sure. Sword hitboxes. That's like a couple of characters, but yeah. So next is probably gonna be Lucina. I know I've always had a high opinion of Lucina, and honestly, because there's 5 characters left and I placed them like top 3 last time, and honestly what keeps Lucina back from being higher is the fact that they don't have something completely broken about them. Something that's unfair, because a lot of her matchups are kind of the player's fundamentals, and while that's good, it's not ridiculous, because she has a floaty disadvantage, and that's it. Recovery is pretty good. Sword hitbox, she only has 2 losing matchups in ZSS and maybe Inkling, because the other 2 matchups, Pikachu, kind of a relevant character, no one plays Marth, so you have like this menace that just hits you, doesn't really hit and kill you, which is what keeps them from being top 5 in my opinion. But the fundamentals of this character, the spacing, everything, the advantage state is all insane. I've almost been streaming for 2 hours. Good lord. So who's next? It's between Wolf and Palu. I'll go with... Palutena? She got nerfed. So Palutena's nerfs hurt her a little, but you may notice that I put her in my overrated characters video, and I disagree with what I said. That is something I was wrong about. The character still does so much damage out of a hit. They lose to Pikachu, sure, but there are also so many characters worse matchups because she's an anti-air character, and this game is heavily aerial based, so she just annihilates characters in the air. And then Nair combos are insane. Like, she struggles to kill a little, but definitely not enough to really throw her. Oh, definitely not enough to put her out of top 10, just not top 3 like some people say. And yeah. Wolf is insane. Wolf has amazing combos, amazing neutral. The recovery is exploitable by some characters. They lose to Pikachu with like 2 other characters, and that's it. Everything about Wolf is insane. The combos do so much damage. She's just basically a better Sheik. And the Reflector helps so much. Then you can mash Nair at people, and that works sometimes. Like, the character's slow, sure, but that's basically it. The hitboxes are insane. The kill confirms are... Oh my god, the kill confirms are amazing. And the fact that sometimes they struggle to kill because they need to let it read, but even then, that's pushing it, you know? So... Alright, so now we hit our top 3. Top 3 characters in the game. I think that this character... Even now I'm questioning it. I think for right now, at this very moment, that Pythra is top 3. But I think they could be number 1 at some point. Just being real. Like, I feel like Palu is the cutoff. Like, Wolf is the cutoff, because... Or maybe Palu can be considered the best by some. I think, like, even Lucian... Lucian, no. Pythra is insane. Kind of. Because Mythra is super fast. Super fast. And, like, the combos that she does aren't going to do, like, 40% or 50%. But she's so fast that, like, she could constantly land those, like, 10% hits. And just constantly play an amazing neutral. And then Lightning Buster sometimes helps with killing. And that's where Pyra comes in. If you struggle to kill, go mash Pyra up B or up tilt. And you do fine. Yeah, that's basically... She's basically insane. Pyra by herself isn't good, and Mythra is probably like lower top tier / somewhere in high tier. And Pyra's probably a low tier. But because they complement each other so well, and Mythra can basically play neutral, play disadvantage. Like, neither of their recoveries are good. Both of them are kind of exploitable. But Lightning Buster is insane. Or Photon Edge. They're so good. And I feel like they can only go up. They're potentially the best in the game. And right now, even now, I'm considering putting them at the second best. It's just... You know... Yeah, but Joker... Yeah, I think Joker's probably second best. Joker's still amazing. Those rest didn't hurt. The countering... Obviously, he just invalidates so many characters. His movement's insane. Yeah, he struggles without a shield options, but... Oh well. Okay. You can camp with bullets and side B. You can rush down. You can invalidate characters with your counter, whether using Arsene. His combos are insane with or without Arsene, except Arsene he becomes super strong, except even without Arsene he can still kill consistently. So, it's such a good character. Mobility based for sure. Definitely harder to play than most characters. but he's super strong. And Pikachu busted. Lol. Okay, that's that industry. Nah, just kidding. I don't see any flaws in Pikachu besides they lose to Game Watch and Ness. And they go even with 2 other characters, and then they beat the rest of the cast. Like Joker loses to a couple of characters, but his swing factor is insane. Like I've seen a lot of matchup charts with these two, and they lose a couple of matchups, a couple more than Pikachu, and Pikachu loses 2. He can play campy, play him however you want. There's no glaring weaknesses with Pikachu. Like, what does Pikachu lose to? He's an insane character. It's so hard to talk about him in a tier list because, realistically, what is there to say? So I've been streaming for 2 hours now. Let's zoom out real quick if you want to take a screenshot of the tier list. But yeah, I said I was going to order a few things around, so let's just make sure that I agree with everything that I'm saying. Probably, maybe, Yeah, I think that's basically the tier list. So, yeah. It's been a fun 2-hour stream. My throat's completely exhausted, but I'm glad we finally stuck it through. Here's a tier list of my current opinions. I'm going to post it on Twitter later, probably. Should probably put my Twitter up. It's fish tacos. Fish_tacos_lol. But yeah. Here's my opinions about the meta. It's still very early at 12.0. Kazuya could go up. Maybe the Bayo nerfs can help. And maybe since we're back offline, maybe characters can swing around. But for right now, this is what I think of the game. So yeah, that's the tier list. Thank you for watching. There goes my throat. So yeah, thank you for watching. Have a great night.